Swaminiti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is chapter 67 of the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Balaram slays Dvivida gorilla. What was our topic yesterday? Balaram went to Vrindavan, right? Do you happen to remember what chapter that was? Chapter 65. This is just 2 chapters later. He just came back from Vrindavan. He's going to kill Dvivida. Chronologically, it's in order, as we'll see in just a moment. This is Maharaj Parikshit. He's about to die, and he's very eager to hear more about Balaram. I wish to hear further about Sri Balaram, the unlimited and immeasurable Supreme Lord, whose activities are all astounding. What else did he do? Because this is chapter 67, he's referring to 2 chapters ago. Because here's, you can see. Previously, Parikshit had heard about Balaram pulling the Yamuna with his plow, which was 65. In the midst of discussing Balaram's pastimes, the killing of Pondraka was related, which was chapter 66, since this happened while Balaram was in Vraja. Clear? Krishna's killing Pondraka while Balaram's in Vrindavan. Maharaj Parikshit is more eager to hear more about Balaram, so hopefully you are too, because that's what this evening is. Tell me of Balaram's other activities, since he is full of powers. Shukadev Goswami obliges him. There was an ape named Dvivida, who was a friend of Narakasura's. This powerful Dvivida, the brother of Minda, had been instructed by King Sugriva during Ram's Leela. Interesting. Those of you that like details, which of the 14 manus are we passing through the duration of? The rule of which manu? Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata Manu was the son of Vivaswan. Manu number 7. Of how many manus are there total? 14 manus. Manu number 7. And each manu, well, there's 14 manus reign for how many yuga cycles? 1,000 yuga cycles. So do some quick math. Divide 14 into 1,000, and it comes to 71 plus yuga cycles in each manu. And Lord Ramachandra appeared also during the reign of Vaivasvata Manu, because Ramachandra's in the Sun dynasty, right? The Surya dynasty. Vivaswan, the son of Vivaswan was Ikshvaku. Vivaswan was Manu. Manu was Ikshvaku. His son Ikshvaku brought the Sun dynasty to earth. And where did he reside? In Ayodhya. So Ram's Leela started from his place of appearance in Ayodhya, and it ended in Ayodhya. That's where he left. He appeared and he left in Ayodhya. Out of the 71 yuga cycles during the reign of each Manu, during the reign of Vaivasvata Manu, Ramachandra appeared three yuga cycles prior. It wasn't just Satya, Treta, Dwarapa, and then Kali. And he was in, Krishna appeared in Treta Yuga, and before that was Dwarapa Yuga. But it's several yuga cycles prior, which means Dvivida had a long life. And it's described right in Ramayana that he would have a long life. There are living entities called Chiranjivas. They live a long time. Another one of those that lived a long time was Jambavan. Correct? Jambavan appeared in Ram's Leela, and Jambavan appeared in Krishna's Leela. In fact, Jambavan was the father of Jambavati, who was Krishna's second wife. One of the principal queens is Jambavan's daughter, Jambavati. So Dvivida lived a long time. He had Chiranjiva category. Long time. In fact, when Ramachandra, just before departing, this is in the final, in Uttarakhanda, just before Ramachandra departed, entering into the Sarayu, etc., he designated 5 of his devotees that would stay behind. Who knows what those 5 devotees are? Is anybody? It's a Ramayana. Hanuman is one. Jambavan is another. Dvivida is another. Vibhishan is another. And Minda, mentioned here. They're brothers. Minda and Dvivida are brothers. And they were ministers in the court of Sugriva. You with me? This is important because it's a fundamental part of the whole lesson for the whole chapter. So Dvivida was a good guy, and he became a bad guy, putting it in street language. He was an exalted personality. We'll hear how exalted. He was a very exalted personality. However, he had made friendship with a demon. The demon was Narakasura. Narakasura, who's Narakasura? What do you know about Narakasura? Anyone in the room? What do you know? Yes. And he put them in prison. So those 16,100 princes that were put in prison, they pleaded with Krishna to relieve them from the prison. So Krishna obliged, and part of that obligation was he killed Narakasura. What else are you going to say? Yeah. So let's understand this. We had this discussion. It came up with Lakshmi Nrsimha. How Narakasura wasn't an asura before he was Naraka, the son of Bhumi, and Lord Varaha, but he became corrupted. How did he become corrupted? By bad association. So good people can become bad people through bad association. And Dvivida was a good person, but he became a bad person through association with a bad person, Narakasura. So when Narakasura was killed by Krishna, Dvivida got in a revenge mood. He wanted to get back. he killed my best friend. I'm going to get back. So he had become corrupted before he wanted to get back, being corrupted by bad association. He made very close friendship with a bad person. To avenge the death of his friend Naraka, which was in chapter 59. Now we're on 67, so it wasn't too long ago, chapter-wise. But he knew that Krishna had killed Narakasura, so he wanted revenge. The ape Dvivida intended to destroy Lord Krishna's flourishing kingdom. He ravaged the nearby land, setting fires that burned cities, villages, mines, and cowherd dwellings. But let's go back to during Ram's Leela. Let's hear a little bit about who he was previously. He and his brother Minda were sons of the Ashvini Kumaras. Sons of the Ashvini Kumaras. The arrangement was when the demigods made their appeal to Lord Vishnu, help! Ravana is a terrible demon. He's harassing not only the earthly realm, but he's coming to the heavenly realm, and he's trying to conquer the heavenly realm. He had a big battle with Indra, and Indrajit defeated Indra. He had a different name before, it was Indrajit. But when he conquered Indra, it became Indrajit. Jita means defeat. He defeated Indra. Help! So Lord Vishnu agreed and gave an instruction. Please, yes, I'll come. And you create offspring on earth that are not in the categories of living entities that Brahma gave the benediction that he can't be killed by this, that, and the other thing. So he didn't include animals. So create offspring in those categories. So many produced offspring in vanaras, or monkeys. And he, Dvivida and Minda, they were assistants to Sugriva, who was the monkey king. And during the battle, as it's shown here, they were very powerful fighters. Their names are mentioned in multiple places during the Yuddha Kanda section. During the battle, they were very good fighters. When when Sugriva sent his hordes of vanaras in the four directions to look for Sita, Dvivida was in the group that went south. The heading that group was Angada. Angada was the son of who? Vali. When Vali was dying, he made a request, Sugriva, you please take care of my son, treat him like your son. Because he was concerned about his son. So take good care of him. So he did. Angada was like his right-hand man. So Angada led the group going south. Hanuman was with Angada. Dvivida and Minda were with that group that went south. According to Ramayana, there were 30,000 vanaras that went in the southerly direction. That's a lot of vanaras. And many times he mentioned during the battle scene. Here's a particular example. When they reached the southern tip of India, they couldn't find Sita. Angada, in despair, said, if we go back to Kishkinda and tell Sugriva we couldn't find Sita, who knows what he might do? He might kill us. So better to give up our life here fasting. And he decided to fast till death. Many other vanaras decided to fast till death with him. Hanuman didn't agree with them at all. This is the wrong procedure. We're given the injunction to find Sita. So let's proceed. but Angada was stubborn. And so then what happened? They're lying on the beach. What happened next? Jatayu's brother. What's Jatayu's brother's name? Sampati. Sampati was a vulture that had his wings burned, so he couldn't fly anymore. His wings burned when he and his brother, Jatayu, were flying high and high and high and high and high and high, and got so high, got close to the sun, the wings almost burned. So he spread Sampati, the elder brother, spread his wings to protect his younger brother, and his wings burned, and he came crashing to the ground. And since that time, he couldn't fly. So he couldn't get vulture prey so easily. He was hungry. and he saw all these vanaras lying. He thought, lunch, great. And he went down and down and down and down the mountainside. And as he got closer, he was hearing them speaking about Jatayu. And how do they know Jatayu? So he got a little closer to hear about Jatayu, and he heard the story. And he started weeping. His brother died. And they did some procedures for funeral, for the rites for the soul of Jatayu, and they explained their predicament. They're searching for Sita. And he said, well, I still have my eyesight. I can't fly, but I can see in a very far, far, far away distance, only 800 miles, he could see. I see where Sita is. She's in a garden, a Shok Grove in Lanka. And they got really excited. Really, you can see her. And then they decided, you know the story, they decided we should find her to verify that's where she is, and then second, reassure her that Ram is going to come and redeem her and rescue her. So then the Vanaras were being asked by Angada, who can jump all the way to Lanka, inform Sita, and then come back. So the assignment was who can jump 800 miles or 100 yojanas. So they're having this contest. Gaja, I can jump 80 miles. Gavaksha, I can jump 160. That's double. Minda said, I'm capable of jumping 480 miles. That's a big jump. Dvivida said, Minda wasn't as strong as Dvivida, I can undoubtedly jump 560 miles. These are Valmiki Ramayan statistics in yojanas. And then, so he's mentioned during the fight with Kamsa. And now we're going to fast forward a little bit to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, where in Chapter 2, he's listed as the assistants of Kamsa, one of the assistants of Kamsa who are ready to do his bidding. Under the protection of Magadharaj, Jarasandha, the powerful Kamsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this, he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Agasura, Mushtika, Arishta, Dvivida, Putana, Keshi, Denuka. Now, Denuka wasn't sent by Kamsa to do what he did. He was just hanging out in that towel forest. But he was ready to harass the members of the Yadu dynasty, according to Canto 10, Chapter 2. Banasura, Narakasura, and many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. So he was good, but he became bad. So the question is, how did he become bad? So you already know the answer because we did this already, right? You had the answer. So let's see if somebody else can give the answer. He had pride, and due to his pride, he made an offense to Lakshmana. And the acharyas all explained. It took a while for me to sort out what was the offense, but finally it became evident. The offense is shown in this picture. There's Hanuman on the far right with the club next to him. He's introducing Ram and Lakshman to Sugriva with the crown on, and right behind him are the two, Dvivida and Minda. So when the introduction by Hanuman was being made, Dvivida gave the wrong advice. Dvivida said, give your full undivided attention to Ram. The other fellow that's with him, he's not so important, Lakshman. And because of that, and there's a second offense, he had a reaction. With Vaishnava, this big lesson is Vaishnava aparad is a big problem. Specifically, Lakshman represents Guru Tattva, just like Balaram represents Guru Tattva, or Lord Nityananda represents Guru Tattva. They're the representatives of, they introduce the Supreme Lord. They give the Supreme Lord to others. That's what a guru function. Give instructions, but they give that association also. So, because Dvivida offended Lakshman and made an offense, there's a reaction to the offense. When you offend a Vaishnava, it's real deal. It's your spiritual strength becomes reduced. You become susceptible to unfavorable association. And like this case, Dvivida, unfavorable association was Narakasura. And then many other anarthas proliferated in his heart. With those additional anarthas or unwanted things, further offenses. That's the sequence. That's the lesson for this whole chapter, by the way. Don't offend Lakshman. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a lot to say. Though Dvivida was a minister of the great devotee Sugriva and an associate of Lord Ramachandra, he became corrupted by the bad association of Naraka, which caused anarthas to rise in him. This bad association was the reaction for an offense Dvivida had committed when he disrespected Lakshmana due to being proud of his strength. Now, being proud of his strength wasn't so much the specific offense of telling Sugriva to pay attention to Ram but not to Lakshman. But that led to an additional offense. The additional offense, the second offense, this young boy knows because he heard from his dad. But the second offense was when Lakshman was hit by the Shakti Shela weapon and was lying on the ground in great pain. Because of his strength, because of Dvivida's strength, he was in his mind criticizing Lakshmana. What kind of great hero is this? So, because of his pride and his power and strength, he was making offense to Lakshmana. That offense, those two offenses, reduced his spiritual strength, made him susceptible to bad association, and he became corrupted. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes on. The Minda and Dvivida mentioned here, this is important, are actually eternally liberated devotees, addressed as attendant deities during the worship of Lord Ramachandra, meaning in Ayodhya. The Lord arranged their degradation to show the evil of the bad association that results from offending great personalities. Thus, the fall down of Dvivida and Minda can be compared to that of Jai and Vijay. Now, Jai and Vijay are completely exceptions. The living entities that come into the material world were not once upon a time in Vaikuntha. However, Jai and Vijay fell in a special case, and the statement being made here is because the Lord desired to teach a lesson, he had them fall from that elevated position to teach a lesson. Don't offend a great soul. The painting on the right side there is Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami wrote the Sandarbhas, 6 Sandarbhas. One of the 6 is Bhakti Sandarbha, and here's what he writes. Minda and Dvivida are 2 forms worshipped as avarana deities, covered deities. So that I did a lot of research to find out what does this avarana deities mean. They're deities that are situated they're directly in the Vaikuntha realm. They're covered. They don't appear to be the fullness of the Lord Vishnu, but they're attendant to Lord Vishnu, or in this case, Lord Ramachandra. So those who worship Ramachandra, they're also worshiping the Nityasiddhas dwelling in the Lord's eternal abode in Vaikuntha. So they're in that category. Bhakti Sandarbha or Jiva Goswami is writing the same, just the language is different. Some jivas who are endowed with some of the Shakti of eternal associates like Minda and Dvivida, and called by the same name, help Ram or other avatars when they appear on earth. These jivas can become corrupted because they're jivas. For example, Dvivida associated with Narakasura, who hated the Lord. This occurs because the mortal jiva, Dvivida, was mixed with the elements of the material world, although a jiva invested with some of a Nityasiddha's powers. Clear? You want to spend some time on this? It's the exception, it's not the rule. But in this exceptional case, the personality of God had wanted to teach a lesson. Don't mess with Lakshman. Because there's consequences. Now, it's not just, well, you're not Lakshman, so I can mess with you. It's the principle of Vaishnava Aparad. Vaishnava Aparad is a very serious offense. It's not light, it's very serious. And the consequences are similarly serious. So one can lose one's spiritual standing by the consequence of offense. He goes on, Jiva Goswami, in a different text, this is his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, on this chapter 67. The Minda and Dvivida mentioned in this verse are persons endowed with their Shakti from the spiritual realm. Because they did not respect Lakshmana, like Jai and Vijay, they appeared as demons in order to show the result of committing offenses. So that's a little background on who Dvivida is. And he had lived a long life. He's a Chiranjiva, spanning over yuga cycles, which is a long time. Once, so he's already corrupted through his bad association with Narakasura, Dvivida tore up a number of mountains and used them to devastate all the neighboring kingdoms, especially the province of Anarta, wherein dwelt his friend's killer, Lord Hari. So the province of Anarta is a different word than Anarta. Anarta means unwanted, And Anarta is a province that is part of the jurisdiction of that Dwarka was in. Dwarka is an island, and then like distant from the island is a nearby place called Prabhas. It's a holy place, and there's this whole region or province is called Anarta. I remember once Prabhupada gave a name to one of his female disciples, Anarta, and everyone was like, "What?" It's like the parents of Dushashana. No, not Dushashana. The parents of Kara and Dushan. Who's going to call their son Kara? Not a nice name. So who's going to name their daughter or their disciple? It's not Anarta. We were shocked, and we had to figure it out. It's the name of the province in which Lord Hari or Krishna was residing and ruled. Another time he entered the ocean, because it's by the ocean, and with the strength of 10,000 elephants churned up its waters with his arms and thus submerged the coastal regions. He is very powerful. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Big and powerful. The wicked ape tore down the trees in the hermitage of the exalted sages and contaminated their sacrificial fires with his feces and urine. Notice the belt that he has on his skulls. Just as a wasp imprisons smaller insects, he arrogantly threw both men and women into caves in a mountain valley and sealed the caves shut with boulders. So later Balarama had to retrieve them, like free them from their caves or from captivity. So he's doing bad things. And his purpose? Dvivida, taking a huge form at will, looted and destroyed all the crops in the kingdom by going around and smashing them. He wanted to take revenge. This is Krishna's kingdom. He wanted to get back. Once, while Dvivida thus engaged in harassing the neighboring kingdoms and polluting women of respectable families, he heard very sweet singing coming from Raivataka mountain. So he went there. So Raivataka mountain, there's a king named Raivata, and his daughter was Revati. And one of Balaram's wives became Revati, correct? The daughter of King Revata, who the mountain named after him, the Raivataka mountain. There he saw Sri Balaram, the Lord of the Yadus, adorned with a garland of lotuses and appearing most attractive in every limb. Notice Balaram's got both his plow and his club. But he's not using that while doing this dance. He was singing amidst a crowd of young women, including Revati. And since he had drunk Varuni liquor, his eyes rolled as if he were intoxicated. Same as 2 chapters ago when he was in Vrindavan. Now, when we heard when he was in Vrindavan that Varuna wanted to benedict Balaram's pastimes of dancing, so he made an arrangement for this very fragrant beverage to be in the hollow of a tree, and Balaram went and drank, and so now he's doing it again. And Raivataka Mountain. It doesn't say anything about how it happened, but it happened. His body shone brilliantly as he behaved like an elephant in rut. So I had to check out what does in rut means. It means when a male elephant is in a great deal of lusty desires for the female elephant. There's some substance that it shows on the side of their head. Forget what it's called. It's got his name. And is very fragrant. So like an elephantine rod. The mischievous ape climbed a tree branch and then revealed his presence by shaking the trees and making the sound kila kila. I don't know what that sound is, but it's a gorilla sound. And then the ladies with whom Balaram was dancing were further insulted. When Lord Balaram's consorts saw the ape's impudence, they began to laugh. They were, after all, young girls who were fond of joking and prone to silliness. And when Dvivida saw that they were laughing at him, he wanted to get back at. They're laughing at him. He's a demon. Even as Lord Balaram looked on, Dvivida insulted the girls by making odd gestures with his eyebrows and coming right in front of them and showing them his anus. So there, you're going to laugh at me? Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur writes, he ridiculed the ladies by walking in a funny way, moving his eyebrows, making odd gestures, standing directly in front of them and urinating. He disrespected Balaram by not even glancing at him. He is agitating the scene of Balaram's enjoying with the gopis, and Balaram is not going to let that happen. Angered Lord Balaram, the best of fighters, hurled a rock at him. Commentary says not his club, because of the previous position of Dvivida being a devotee. But the cunning ape dodged the rock and grabbed the Lord's pot of liquor, the Varuni beverage. Further infuriating Balaram by laughing and ridiculing him, wicked Dvivida then broke the pot and offended the Lord even more by pulling at the girl's clothing. Powerful creature, remember, with his arms he made the whole coastal region flooded. He's a powerful person. The powerful ape, puffed up with false pride, continued to insult Balaram. Balaram saw the ape's rude behavior and thought of the disruptions he had created in the surrounding kingdoms. Thus the Lord angrily took up his club and plow, having decided to put his enemy to death. So here it comes. They have battle. Mighty Dvivida also came forward to do battle, uprooting a sal tree with one hand. He rushed toward Balaram and struck him on the head with the tree trunk. Do any of you remember reference to sal trees some other place? What's the reference? Yeah. Yeah. So each of those 7 trees are sal trees, and a little research says sal trees or shal trees are hardwood trees. Like here it's oak, like oak floors or oak tables or oak furniture. It's hardwood. Shal trees are known to be very, very hardwood. 7 trees with an arrow. And here he's picking up a shal tree with one hand, and he hit Balaram on the head. But Lord Sankarshan remained as motionless as a mountain and simply grabbed the log as it fell upon his head. Then he struck Dvivida with his club. And the name of his club is Sunanda. Struck on the skull by the Lord's club, Dvivida became brilliantly decorated by the outpouring of blood, like a mountain beautified by red oxide. Ignoring the wound, Dvivida picked up another tree, stripped it of leaves by brute force, and struck the Lord again. There's Lord Balaram picking up the sal tree with his one hand and his plow in the other hand. Now enraged, Lord Balaram shattered the tree into hundreds of pieces, upon which Dvivida grabbed yet another tree and furiously hit the Lord again. This tree, too, the Lord smashed into hundreds of pieces. Thus, fighting the Lord, who again and again demolished the trees he was attacked with, Dvivida kept on uprooting trees from all sides until the forest was left treeless. A forest. Then what? Rocks. The angry ape then released a rain of stones upon Lord Balaram, but the wielder of the club easily pulverized them all. Now, Dvivida's big, powerful personality. Dvivida, the most powerful of apes, now clenched his fists. At the end of his palm tree-sized arms, came before Balaram and beat his fist against the Lord's body. Finished. The furious lord of the Yadavas then threw aside his club and plow, and with his bare hands hammered a blow upon Dvivida's collarbone. The ape collapsed, vomiting blood. End of Dvivida. So this is largely from Srimad Bhagavatam, sloka by sloka, and then comes a similar description in Gopal Champu. Some of you probably know what Gopal Champu is. It's a composition by Jiva Goswami. He wrote many literatures. This one is describing Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and then the second part is Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. And the two narrators, the way that it's written is, there's a person asking and a person answering. Snigdhakanta and Madhukanta. They're Brahmins, and one Brahmin is informing the other about Krishna's pastimes. So Snigdhakanta is the one asking, Madhukanta is the one answering. Understanding that, that's why the two figures there. Understanding that Dvivida was an associate of Ram, Balaram tolerated everything. When Dvivida showed impudence 1,000 times, Balaram killed him. Though he killed him, I think he was merciful, for he liberated him from his various offenses. Now, at the end, we're going to hear, just as those killed by Krishna received liberation, those killed by Balaram received liberation. So it's kindness, although it looks like something else. When he fell, O tiger, among the Kurus, that's Shukadev to Maharishi Parikshit, Raivataka mountain shook, along with its cliffs and trees, like a wind-tossed boat at sea. The whole mountain, this guy was really big. Sri Balaram married Revati, the daughter of King Raivata, also known as Kunkudmi, who was the ruler of the Anarta province. So Kunkudmi, or King Raivata, was a ruler in this broader kingdom of Dwarka. So Ugrasena was overall in charge in Dwarka, and then he's like the emperor, and then there's kings underneath. So this is one of the kings, ruler of the Anarta province, which is very near to Dwarka. Raivataka mountain was within King Raivata's province. We're getting close to finishing. In the heavens, the demigods, perfect mystics and great sages cried out, "Victory to you, obeisances to you, excellent, well done," and showered flowers upon the Lord. Having thus killed Dvivida, who had disturbed the whole world. The Supreme Lord freed the people imprisoned by Dvivida in the valleys and caves and returned to his capital as the people along the way chanted his glories. Then there's this little section about liberation. And this section of liberation is taken from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7. Canto 2, Chapter 7 is a listing and description of avatars of the Lord. There's another section, Canto 1, Chapter 3, and then this one, Canto 2, Chapter 7, that do the same thing. The slightly, additional information, but that's what's going on in that chapter. So here's a description. All demoniac personalities, like all the ones that were killed by Krishna and Balaram, like Pralamba, Denuka, Baka, Keshi, Arishta, Chanura, Mushika, Kuvalyapita, elephant, Kamsa, Yavana, Narakasura, and Pondraka. Great marshals like Shalva, Dvivida monkey, and Balvala, Dantavakra, the seven bulls, Shambhara, Vidurata, and Rukmi, as also great warriors like Kambhoja, Matsya, Kuru, Srinjaya, and Kekaya, would all fight vigorously, either with Lord Hari directly or with him under the names Baladev, Arjuna, Bhima, etc. And the demons, being thus killed, would attain either impersonal Brahmajyoti or his personal abode in the Vaikuntha planets. Isn't that nice? So all you have to do is just become a demon, get killed by Krishna and Balaram, and you got your ticket. We don't imitate. Yeah. We heard the whole, for at least the Chinese devotees, the Putana Lila. And this is the last of the texts. This is taken from Garga Samhita. Garga Samhita is a text that has many, there's a whole big section in Garga Samhita on Balaram. So there's some stotras, a stotra kavacha for protection in Garga Samhita. And one of them is this one, number 7. Kamatsada Rakshatu Dhenukari. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Dhenukasura, always protect me from lust. May Lord Balaram, who killed Dvivida, always protect me from anger. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Balvala, always protect me from greed. May Lord Balaram, who is the enemy of Jarasandha, always protect me from illusion. So the phrase in big letters there is Dvivida Prahari. So he killed Dvivida, and he's glorified for that. In the Leela, the demigods glorified him, and we're joining that glorification. So this is a nice chapter describing the glories of Balaram. Of course, it's part of the 10th canto, which is describing both the glories of Balaram and Krishna, not just the killing of demons, but all their other activities. But one of the two main reasons for Krishna's appearance in this world, according to Bhagavad Gita, is to give protection to the devotees and to annihilate the demons. Who here likes Bhagavad Gita verses and knows the Bhagavad Gita verse? Starts with a P. Pritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskatam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So let's do it again. Let's just say it slowly and together. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskatam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So many of you know the verse. That's very nice. So that's what's going on. Krishna is fulfilling his promise to give protection to the devotees and to, when the earth is too much overburdened with demoniac kings, Krishna may come himself. Yada yada. He dharmasya. When there's adharma, it's prevalent, predominant, he comes to restore dharma. Dharma sangstha. Yuge, yuge, from time to time or from age to age. And here's Krishna Balaram. This is our last slide. Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. Of course, they have very nice Krishna Balaram deities in Alashwa. It was really nice describing pastimes of Balaram for Balaram Purnima. For the community that worships Krishna Balaram. There's a little story that Jayadvaita Swami, does he visit here sometimes? No? Jayadvaita Swami was recently in Gainesville. Our paths didn't cross. But he recites a story. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada was on a morning walk. Every morning he would go on a morning walk. And one morning they were speaking what to do when you have obstacles and difficulties that you can't overcome. And Prabhupada made the following comment. You can go before the deity of Gaurnitai or Krishna Balaram because they're non-different and say, Sir, I have a problem. Please help me. And he'll do the needful. Not like he's the order supplier, but he's merciful to those who are like a child and their parent, dependent upon the parent. So he's very powerful, and he'll give his protection. So don't make it too much of your business to bother him too many times. But when there's something that's required, you know where to go, and he'll help. When we were discussing this, one devotee told the story. They said, and it's true. I mean, we're narrating, and they said it's true. We didn't elaborate, but apparently from time to time they pray like that, and somehow doesn't like instantaneously something happens. But Krishna is very kind, and Balaram is all powerful. That's their good combination. Krishna Balaram. So let's see if there's some discussion. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare
Krishna.
Maharaj, you mentioned that between Rama Avatar and Lord Krishna's advent here, Krishna Avatar, there were several yugas.
Yes.
So does it mean
Not just yugas, yuga cycles.
Yuga cycles, yeah. So does it mean in every yuga cycle they don't descend on the earth?
No. Once in a day of Brahma. We'll do it again. Kalpa means a day of Brahma. Yeah. And in the day of Brahma, how many yuga cycles are there? 1,000. And every day, so Krishna comes in the 28th yuga cycle of Vaivasvata Manu, who's Manu number 7, once in a day of Brahma. And in the 24th yuga cycle, during Vaivasvata Manu, Ramachandra appears. Scheduled incarnations, it's called, in chapter 7 of Canto 2. Scheduled incarnations. Check the box, right? So it's not every yuga, it's every day of Brahma. That's a long period of time. So we're very fortunate. So recently Krishna appeared, right? lot of time in between when he'll appear again.
And at the end of the yuga, or like yuga cycle,
The
like
end of the day of Brahma, and the
not the
den,
day of the Brahma, but
end of
like,
the Kali Yuga.
yeah. So like
That's you.
when does the all material creation gets over, and
That's
then the
different. That's not at the end. It's not. It's the end of Brahma's life.
oh,
Oh,
lot to learn.
it's a lot of zeros. One day is, and then one night of equal duration. Times 30, times 100.
So at the end of at the end of the day, when the night starts,
Yes.
so all the living entities go back to
No. No.
no.
No. There's a partial devastation. The partial devastation means it's nighttime for Brahma. At the end of his day is his night. Of equal duration is his day. And what happens during the partial devastation is the Garbhodak ocean starts to rise. And up to the heavenly realm, they're all flooded. They're submerged in the Garbhodak ocean. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka are not. The upper four are not. The lower three plus the seven below, they're submerged in the Garbhodak ocean. And then at the end, the water recedes. It's like, the Everglades here in Fort Lauderdale. The water recedes. And then then comes the aquatics and then the plants, and the cycle of forms of life start to manifest like that. Not chemical evolution, but transmigrations of the soul through those lower species to the upper species, etc. That's what happens at the end of Brahma's night, partial devastation. There's some further detail, but that's what you're looking for, right?
Thank you, Maharaj. I have one more follow-up
But
question.
at the end of Brahma's life, that's when there's a total annihilation. That means everything is withdrawn. Brahma himself included, the whole shebang. It goes back to from the gross to the subtle to the subtle to the subtle, and everything is withdrawn like a vacuum cleaner. Back to the pradhan state. And it stays like that until there's time, because time moves in cycles, to the next time for creation. Then it starts to happen again. It's cyclical. If you want to understand it better, there's two places you can read to understand it better. They're both in the third canto, Bhagavatam. And one of those discussions is Maitreya describing all of this to Vidura. And then there's another description of Lord Kapila describing to Devahuti, third canto. But that's, the details and details. I just, simple things, but the details are there.
Thank you, Maharaj. And one more quick question. Like day and night for us on the planet
Yeah.
Earth is defined. We go around the sun and, and the day and night happens.
Okay.
For Lord Brahma at his position, how is day and night defined for him? Is there any reference in
Yeah,
Shastra?
there is day and night for Brahma. But it's different. Just listening yesterday, Prabhupada was describing Einstein's theory of relativity. I mean, he didn't go into it too much, but time is different for us than for Lord Brahma. The day and night of Brahma is very, very, very long. That, just went through that. 1,000 yuga cycles. And how long is a yuga cycle? You can do the numbers. You want to go through the numbers? But, that's what happens. At the end of Brahma's night, it's night. It's dark. Now, our calculation of day and night has to do with the movements of the sun in relation to the earth, or movements of the earth in relation to the sun, either way, because it's relative motion. Exactly what happens during Brahma's night, because Brahma Loka is way at the top of the universal structure, and the earth planet is below the sun. It's certainly below Brahmaloka. Now, how it's night in terms of the sun, because for us it's in the movements of the sun in relation to the earth. I don't have the answer to that. Here's a partial answer to that. It's not just, the earth is spinning on its axis, that's one, but according to Vedic cosmology, in addition, the sun is moving. And it's moving on its wheel of time, Kala Chakra. So the position of the sun in relation to Brahmaloka I don't know how to describe it or to envision it, then describe it. But the movements of the sun have its effect on day and night for Brahma.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. So there was mention of Mainda also falling down. Can you shed more light on what happened to Mainda, how he fell down?
I researched that before I came. I only found one. He didn't. There's only one mention of his falling. He fell to the position of being Dvivida and Mainda, the brother of Dvivida, because previously they're both of them were in Vaikuntha. They're Nitya Siddha personalities in Vaikuntha, and Nitya Siddhas don't fall, except when the Lord desires. So the fall of Mainda and Dvivida was by the will of the Lord, as was Jain Vijay's. So it doesn't give a description. There is a detailed description of how Jain Vijay fell, the curse of the four Kumaras. There isn't a similar description that I'm aware of anywhere of what was the circumstance of their falling from Avarana deities in Vaikuntha to becoming Dvivida minded with the same name in the earthly realm as sons of Ashwini Kumaras. There's no Puranic narration that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Maharaj.
That's what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Over here.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful session. So, Maharaj, my question is like a little personal. Maybe I want to take guidelines from you.
You want to do what?
Guidelines from
Guidelines.
your...
How to not offend Lakshmana.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So, Maharaj, your diet is very strict since so many years. Like, how do we control our tongue?
Control
to
your
eat like
tongue.
very flavorful food. Always like looking forward for eat like.
Well,
What is your inspiration?
there's some very basic instructions. One of those basic instructions is found in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 15. You can look it up later. Control of speech, or speaking the truth. So that's sattva. You speak the truth. That's sattva, mode of goodness. And not only truth, but pleasingly. Because it's one thing to speak the truth, and it's another thing to speak the truth pleasingly. Listen, Prabhu, I just got to speak the truth. Because I'm in the mode of goodness, right? That's not mode of goodness. Mode of goodness includes pleasingly. So how do you do that? That's controlling the tongue, but it's through you associate with the mode of goodness through your life habits, and that promotes the quality of goodness in your life, like cleanliness, compassion, charity, etc., truthfulness. Samadhammaktapakshocham, shantir arjavamevacha, jnana vijnanam astikyam. So by cultivating that quality of goodness, it helps. It's a big help. The mode of goodness will help you be able to control your tongue. Second, control the tongue. The tongue has two functions, tasting and eating. So take only Krishna Prasadam. That will help you control your tongue. And it's not just by following a rule that'll help you control your tongue. It'll more than that, because prasadam is not just mode of goodness, food, it's prasadam. And that spiritualization of the tongue creates purity and thus the capacity to control the tongue. Now there are general practices that you can do. I'll suggest usually there's a loud scream that comes after the initial ah. I was bracing myself for that one. There we go. Okay. There's a disciple named Sri Radhika, lives in Naperville, and she has learned, she is enrolling herself in a professional training to become a certified teacher of nonviolent communication. And she's teaching it in ISKCON or amongst devotees, just giving it a different name, but it's the same principles. She calls it empathic communication because Bir Krishna Maharaj wrote a book on empathic communication that she likes, and she's learned from him. He's kind of mentoring her in empathic communication. So but it's mode of goodness talk. And how to, it's nice to say in principle, then what about the details and details? And there's a science behind it. The science has, it's rooted in understand what your needs are, and you take the steps ABC to meet your needs, and don't expect others to meet your needs. Because if others don't meet your needs, you're going to be frustrated. You have an expectation that isn't met, you're frustrated. And then there goes the tongue. At least the tendency is. You didn't da-da-da-da-da. No, you may not say, you may bite your tongue, but you may say it anyway. You may just, in your mind, say it. Anyway, there's science, it's practices that can help in controlling the tongue. So there's 4 different resources you can look to. Of course, chanting Hare Krishna, our ultimate shelter to control the tongue, tasting and vibrating. These 2 activities, control of the tongue. Does that address what you're looking for?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
It's not a question, just a comment.
What?
It's not a question, just a
A
comment.
silly question. Okay.
No, a comment.
Comment.
Maharaj, I've been watching for many years your presentation with the pictures, the description behind, the research behind, and it's looked like a movie sometime. Okay, and like when you describe it and you get absorbed, it's like a movie. And nowadays, like today's presentation was about fighting, and the young generation, they're fun. It's a fun of fighting about this
Video
terror.
games.
Yeah, I was thinking this is another way of attracting new generation. if only we can do like a movie or something, because
I'm not
like
a
your
movie
son.
maker. Somebody else can make movies.
Yeah, not you. But what I'm saying for the newer generation, this may be another strategy to
Yeah.
get them.
Somebody else's service, not mine.
No, it was just a reflection about
Okay, so
after
somebody else
watching
can
the.
do. I got more to do than what I can do. So someone else can do. Someone else in the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Wonderful class. The last slide you were showing from.
Hold it like this, because then I can hear you better.
Yeah, the last slide you were showing that pray to Lord Balram who killed Dvivida for to protect me from anger.
Yeah.
So, is he a symbol of anger that?
He's not a symbol of, but he's very much moved by. There's in one of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's 100 books, in two of his books, Chaitanya Shikshamrita and Krishna Samhita, in those two books out of his 100 books, a significant portion of those two books, he writes about the demons killed by Krishna in Vrindavan in particular. They signify Krishna's helping you and me, people of this world, to overcome obstacles on the path of bhakti. So if that's what you're referring to, then it's not. It's not from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Because that's in Vrindavan, demons killed in Vrindavan. If you like the demons killed in Vrindavan, that picture, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj is very skilled at describing this. He's given a whole super long seminar, several part seminar that's just on that topic. Demon after demon after demon, following Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But the principle is, he was angry. I mean, the fighting back and forth from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, he was driven by anger.
Also like that, Maharaj. That's why I'm very inquisitive to ask, because.
Well, once anger kicks in, it's hard to stop it.
Yeah.
But Balaram can stop it. That's the point. So don't get angry at Balaram, but he can remove that tendency of anger.
Yeah.
He can do it.
I read that verse and then I feel okay. Once anger kicks in, Krodha Bhavati Samoha, the verse in Bhagavad Gita. So
Yeah.
I really understand once anger kicks in, there is no stopping point, because you lose your mind, you lose your intelligence, you lose your
Yes.
memory. So I'm thinking, okay, before anger kicks in, I should somehow stop. But it kicks in.
Lust is like that too. I mean, not to say that that's something you experience. There's a principle. Lust burns like fire. Dushparena analena cha. Once a fire starts, how do you put out a fire? It gets bigger and bigger. And anger bigger and bigger. Now, sometimes people hit the pause button. What's going on here? What am I so angry about? What am I gaining? And what's really at issue? Now here's an example from Balaram's pastimes. When Balaram was fighting, when Bhima was fighting with Duryodhana, both of whom were students of Balaram's, Balaram heard that they were doing this big battle scene for days and days and days, and neither were defeating the other one. He came to the place, all the way to where they were fighting, and requested them, your teacher, please stop. You know the pastime, right? Yeah. And they couldn't stop. Even they learned their skill from their teacher, and he's saying, stop. He said, Bhima is stronger, Duryodhana is more skilled, neither of you can defeat the other one, so just don't waste your time. Stop. They couldn't stop. because anger was controlling. And when anger controls, you got beans in your ears. You can't hear good advice, even from the wisest, dearest persons in your life. Balaram. So it's not easy when anger kicks in. That's your point. So then what do you do? It's like a little bit about the talking or the tongue. It's practice the mode of goodness and practice, you become situated. Worship of Vishnu, we've been reading this in the Canto 1, Chapter 2, Bhagavatam, where the worship of Vishnu elevates one to the quality of goodness. So you rest your hat on that one. It's true. And so I may be a slow learner, but that's the path. Vishnu or the avatars of Vishnu, you worship them. You give as much as whatever is your possessions, you give to them. Whatever is your intelligence, you give to them. Whatever is your energy, your work, your service, the fruits of your work, you give that to them. To elevate from the passion mode, and anger is ignorance and passion mixed, to goodness. And that's the ultimate, pure cure. But we look to the Supreme Lord, like this one, Balaram, please help me overcome anger. Always protect me from anger.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Wonderful explanation.
Bhakti is the cure. Looks like that's it. Okay. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.